We're in the middle of the chairs where the audience will be shortly, and I'm with David. David, what are you talking about tonight?
I'm talking about protein purification and the fun that you can have with that.
So what do you do? Why do you need to purify proteins?
Well, I work for a big pharmaceutical company, and the proteins that I purify are generally the proteins that you need to make the drug against. And before you can make a drug against a particular protein, it needs to be pure.
And what made you decide to come along tonight and try your hand at stand-up comedy?
Sheer madness, I guess. It's kind of a challenge. It's, you know, I think everybody gets really nervous when they're in front of a crowd. And I was interested in trying to get rid of those nerves, and I figured the only way you can do this is kind of stand up in front of the lorry and let it knock you over, and then realise that you're still alive, and then hopefully the nerves will go for next time.
Hello, I'm a protein purification scientist. I work for a company, but the company is no longer going, so I can talk about it. So what I'm really here to talk about is my journey from Dorset to Cambridge to talk about the biotech revolution. I arrived fashionably late. It was I just passed the degree, and Sigma Chemical Company rang me up and said, "Do you want a job?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I want a job. It's a recession. Margaret Thatcher's in power. I really need a job." Paul, my work buddy, who in appraisal speak would be said to be lacking motivation and the ability to finish a task in a timely manner, had also christened Sigma Chemical Company Smegma Chemical Company, which was all kind of childish but fun. So, and the job there was to purify proteins, but back then you had to purify a protein from its natural source. If you need to purify a protein these days, you clone the construct in some DNA, put that in some E. coli, and it makes the protein for you. But back then we had to go back to the natural source. And so this is all very well and good, so it's easy to take hamster proteins, plant proteins, etc. But what happens if you want a human protein? Because seldom is it right to take anybody's organs, let alone their inner ones, their outer ones, you just can't do it. But one organ people are screamingly happy to get shot of is the placenta. So this would mean that Paul and I would truck off to the local maternity wards of the Poole and Dorset area, stand in the delivery rooms with a bucket, ready to catch these flying organs. And way back then, when the Tory party conference got blown up in Brighton, the Tories said, "Let's not go to Brighton this year. The RA have had a go at us. Let's go to Bournemouth. It's full of old age pensioners. We'll be fine." And so, so we were coming back. So me and Paul had an unmarked white van loaded with 2 crates of placenta in black bin bags. And I said to Paul, "Wake up and try and look suspicious, because if we get pulled over, I want to see the expression on the policeman's face as he looks in to see what we've got in the back of the van." So we got pulled over. So we jumped out of the van and the policeman said, "What have you got in the back of that van then?" And Paul blurted out, "We work for Smegma Chemical Company." And I thought, that's a fictional chemical company name. They're looking for sugar and fertiliser. This isn't going well. So he said, "Well, can you open the bags so we can have a look?" I said, "I can't open the bags. It's full of human placenta. It's a health and safety thing. We've used all our gloves on collection. I can only open the bags if you've got some rubber gloves." Now, a word of advice: in a stop and search situation, never ask a policeman to find his rubber gloves. Fortunately, he handed me the rubber gloves in a nice way. I donned the rubber gloves and I began to open the bags of placenta. And it came to that moment, really, and it was, okay. So he looked in, he looked suitably disgusted and said, "Well, what the hell do you use those for?" So I said, "Well, we take them back to base. We centrifuge, we homogenate, we fractionate, we use various different chromatography techniques: hydrophobic interaction chromatography, affinity chromatography, and ion exchange." He then said to me, "Nobody likes a smart ass, now fuck off."